Hello, hello. I'm Ivanovsky here with Klystron, and we have a special treat for you today, a little bit of PvT action on Entombed Valley. Josh, would you please introduce our players?
Spawning in the upper right at the 2 o'clock position, we have the red Protoss, MonSter. And down at the bottom left corner, at the 7, 8 o'clock position, the blue Terran, SpaceWhales.
Star Trek 4.
So, we've done a couple of games so far, so we think it's probably a good time to introduce ourselves and who we are, what we're here about, what is the meaning of life, the universe, and all that nonsense. So, if you may not have already noticed, we are the casting engineers. We are so called because we are engineers in real life. I am a nuclear engineer, and Ivanovsky is a mechanical engineer. We both went to
Strange that neither one of us are electrical engineers. It seems like a lot of them play StarCraft.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do a lot of computer science. I do like a lot of GPU computing and plasma physics and stuff like that. But yeah, we're engineers. We enjoy casting StarCraft games. We enjoy playing StarCraft.
But most importantly, we enjoy hearing ourselves talk.
Yes, we love the sound of our own voices. And I think that's a very good, like a very important trait to have as a shoutcaster. Wouldn't you agree?
Nobody's yelling here.
No. Alright, well, looks like things are getting underway.
Oh yes, we do have a probe in the base of SpaceWhales. Meanwhile, SpaceWhales scouting a little bit later, but also going to run into MonSter's base and scout that we have pretty much standard opening builds going on.
SpaceWhales looks like he is opting for the, the one racks gas expand. Might be throwing down a tech lab here soon. And then probably going to see a Reaper out of there. Very, very standard Reaper expand.
Got a 16th SCV before building a command center, I noticed. I think 15, 16 is pretty common.
No, I mean, he'll throw down the command center shortly after the Reaper comes out. And that Reaper
You mean, no, the OC, sorry, the OC.
Oh, the OC. Yeah, but he should throw down a command center shortly after this Reaper is done.
You're smelling a fast expand. This is a higher level game.
This is,
in case none of you out there are familiar with Mr. SpaceWhales or Mr. MonSter. I have a feeling they're pretty good players.
Level game. We have not seen this game. We are cold casting as usual.
No, as we always do. I like the spontaneity of it. I like to know what's not going to happen, and I like to not know how many kills this zealot is going to get.
And there goes
Reaper running right out into the middle of the map is going to get seen by this watchtower vision. Oh, but he's going to be using some excellent kiting.
And that is...
Oh, wait. Oh! Don't think Imba. True dat.
Yep. Looks like SpaceWhales stopped microing there.
Well, I mean, it can be difficult. You have to do a lot of things. You have to balance microing and macroing. You can kite that thing all day, but if you spend, an extra 30 seconds to kill that zealot, at what cost back home? But we do have that zealot still alive. He's going to stand right out in front of SpaceWhales base so that he pretty much can't go anywhere without killing some OP rocks or being spotted by this zealot.
And
concussive shells is out, and I think we are going to see the zealot get cleaned up. Meanwhile, 2 stalkers are going to poke in, but I don't think we're going to see an engagement from them because MonSter did scout out these 2 marauders with concussive shells, more than enough to pick off a free stalker if he runs in too close. Meanwhile, both players are opting to take a fairly quick expansion. SpaceWhales getting his online a little bit faster, and dropping down, looks like mass barracks and engineering bay. Meanwhile, back in our Protoss base, we have a 3-gate robo behind a 1-gate expo, or following up a 1-gate expo.
These are both fairly standard builds. fairly quick +1 for SpaceWhales, getting a precautionary missile turret just to guard against the off chance that DTs are on their way, because he hasn't really scouted.
No, I'm looking at his vision now, and he's basically saw that there was one gateway put down. Pretty much at this point, if there hasn't been any pressure, left to assume that there's probably an expo and some sort of higher tech behind that.
So,
Not opting to throw down a scan to find out.
Yeah, in which case, considering how little he knows about what's going on in the Protoss base, it's fairly safe to throw down that turret. So that's a safe move.
And looking at this Protoss army, it looks like pushing out across the map might also be a fairly safe move. Going to put a little bit of pressure on. We are going to probably see some force fields out of these sentries, but that's a fairly wide ramp. I think SpaceWhales is going to be able to do a little bit of damage, and at the very least get some scouting off. Or he's going to opt to just back right up.
I think he's just going to... He saw what was up there. He saw the unit composition. That gave him a fairly decent idea of what is going on. He sees a handful of zealots and some stalkers and a couple of sentries. So he knows that, he's either that MonSter has either delayed his gas or is spending gas on something else back there. And at this point in the game, 9 minutes in, hasn't seen any Stargate or any Templar tech, so he can pretty safely assume that it's Robo.
My preference at this point as Terran is to just start looking for that little ripply thing that doesn't immediately start killing everything on the ground, because that's going to be the observer, and that's going to tell you that there's a Robo back there probably cranking out Immortals. Oh, and another excellent function of that missile turret is to let him attack that observer a little bit.
Yep.
And at this point, SpaceWhales, I'd be surprised if he didn't see that. He knows that there's a Robo back there, which means he knows that there could very well be a Warp Prism on the field, which we see coming out, loading up 4 sentries. This is an interesting play. I believe we're going to see some interesting excitement here. This Warp Prism is rallied all the way to the back of SpaceWhales' main with 4 Warp Prisms inside. I think he's going to try to force field the SCVs in place and do some serious damage to the economy of our galactic cetacean, who is meanwhile taking his 3rd base in the place that all Terrans should on this map. One of the reasons I've never played here. Thumbs it down right away as soon as it went into the pool.
Wait a minute. No, look at where the rally is on that command center. The rally on that command center is the rally on that Protoss's 3rd.
Where there is a
Nexus
that is a
down?
scout command center going to notice that the Protoss is taking his 3rd.
The Warp Prism is moving down.
I don't know. I think that there are cheaper things that can scout that 3rd than this command center.
There is an engineering bay down.
An engineering bay would be a cheaper scout of that 3rd.
No,
it's true.
No. I'm wondering if this is some sort of planetary fortress.
If you're gonna try to take your 3rd at your opponent's 3rd, you have to planetary fortress it. Let's focus on this drop in the back of SpaceWhales' base. He has seen it.
He force fields the Marines out. Force fields
but here
all
comes
of the SCVs in.
And the SCVs are not able to run away in time. Oh, this is so ugly. He does lift up the orbital command, only to be force fielded in place. But these sentries are not going to have enough energy to continue force fielding. But SpaceWhales is running out the front.
Well, he lost the Warp Prism.
Well,
he can't retreat with these sentries.
So he's just going to leave 4 sentries in his base?
I guess. And, I mean, that wasn't really worth
that
it.
Or he's microing this command center with a medevac full of Marauders behind it.
I mean, I'd say that drop definitely did not pay for itself. If he had held the Warp Prism back, he could have lifted up those sentries and gotten out of there.
We see that in the Workers Killed tab, the sentries did take down 7 SCVs with their tickle cannon. So he did almost as much mineral damage as he spent gas on the drop.
There is a command center chilling out over here. We have 2 medevacs, one dropping in the main, one dropping in the natural. And we have a command center coming in. Looks like it's trying to land. The planetary.
It looks like with a little bit of help
assault
from
craft.
that drop, it is going to come down.
And the command center lands and begins morphing into a planetary. This is a very interesting build.
There's some
from
epic drop micro going on here.
And we have
But
more
I think
drop
he is going to
ships.
need some mules to repair that command center at this point. The medevac only going to heal the Marines.
Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5? There were 5. 5 drops going on all at the same time. And this planetary is going to get up.
This is absolutely fantastic. At this point, SpaceWhales saw that third, knew that his opponent was being too greedy, and just took the pain to him.
Yeah, he realized
There
that
is not enough anti-air in this Protoss composition to deal with the medevac. SpaceWhales, when he doesn't like the engagement he's in, can just take right off.
Yeah,
Speaking of not enough anti-air, the Cyber Core just fell. I do not think we have another one in production. So that is going to be all she wrote. SpaceWhales is going to be able to just fly around with complete immunity in the skies.
Yeah, SpaceWhales definitely abusing the lack of anti-air.
And the third goes down, and there really aren't any probes.
And also heavily abusing the fact that MonSter has his entire army on one control group. So these multi-pronged drops are just doing loads of damage.
Absolutely. Well, Protoss is not the race to play if you want to learn how to micro. And we do see a couple of units just running right up in the front.
And I mean,
taking out a Colossus before they die to the other three. And meanwhile, there's just more drops going on. All of the probes that were at the natural, the last few probes that MonSter really had, went down to drops during this time. Medevac's just bouncing all over this base. Meanwhile, MonSter has 1A moved his opponent's base. But this is not, again, it's even if he does have enough to take out that Terran army, which is questionable, and he definitely doesn't have enough to take out the one in his base.
Yeah.
There's no anti-air here. Terran can just lift off.
Yeah, at this point, SpaceWhales has killed 57
Or he can
workers.
pull his mining zealots to do massive tanking.
And MonSter leaves the game. Wow, that was very impressive.
Some absolutely fantastic drop micro. Just at the end of this game, look at the number of units that have fallen out of the number of medevacs in this Protoss base. Absolutely brilliant plays.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game, very interesting strategy. So
fantastic game. Hope you enjoyed it. I think the only person who didn't enjoy this game would be MonSter. It can be incredibly frustrating as a Protoss. Look at this base. I mean, there's a crevice between the main and the Nat, so he can't really run through there. The Colossus can run up and down these cliffs between. I'm sorry, a crevice between the main and the third. The Colossus can run up and down the cliffs between the main and the Nat, but Protoss was just basically shut down in terms of mobility within his own base.
Yep. So, well, that's all for this game. Until next time, this is Klystron signing off.
And this is Ivanovsky signing out.